In this exercise, we're going to dimension between a piece of steel and a piece of duct utilizing our snap to commands and our linear dimension that AutoCAD provides. The first thing we must do in this exercise is open up our PractiCAD exercise template as we've done here. Then I'm going to zoom into this quadrant and we're going to place a steel beam on the drawing bottom at 10 foot. To do this, let's go into our architectural bin. Remember, the icons in your bin might be different than the one in this tutorial. Select one that you'd like. In this exercise, I'm going to grab a wide flange shape. We're going to open up my catalog. I'm going to choose a W10 by 12, but you can utilize any one that you'd like. I'm going to click on place. And now I'm going to go over to the elevation box and give this bottom 10 foot and hit enter. Once I've done that, I'm just going to simply click on the drawing once to start. You can see that the command line says specify the start point of steel. We're going to click once to start, go over to the other side, click again to stop, and then it's asking us for a rotation angle. So I'm going to type in 0 and hit enter. And that's going to put a steel beam down bottom at 10 foot. Now hit escape to let go of the beam you're holding, and let's go put a fitting on the drawing as well. We're going to go into the fitting bin. We're going to choose a piece of rectangular duct and click once. In this exercise, the size does not matter, so we're going to come down into the elevation and put bottom at 8 foot and hit enter. Then place your fitting on the drawing a little bit below the steel. Anywhere is fine. We're going to click once to start. It's asking for rotation. We're going to click a second time, and then we have to click a third time. Notice the routing parameters are out. We're going to click again to place down the fitting. Now I'm going to right click and hit cancel to let go of the fitting we were holding. And now it's time to place down a linear dimension. The linear dimension tool can be activated from a variety of areas. In this tutorial, I have a PractiCAD ACAD quick bin with a linear dimension tool here. But if you're using ribbons, you can go to your annotate, and as a default, AutoCAD should have a linear dimension tool right here. You can also go into the dimension menu and choose linear. So whichever one you're comfortable with, it depends if you have menus or ribbons on your screen. So we're going to grab a linear dimension. And you can see that AutoCAD says specify first extension line origin or select object. Now we're going to choose where we want to start from. But before we do that, two things must happen. First, we must have our O-snaps on. Notice down here that O-snap is depressed. If your O-snap is not depressed, you must depress it. If you don't, you're not going to see that object snap that we need to grab a hold of. And we want to grab a hold of the nearest node. So you have to have the nearest object snap checked. And you can see here that if I right click on OSnap and go to settings, that nearest is one of the ones I always leave checked. So I've got that. Now we need to make sure that we're grabbing the right part of the steel. Most likely your steel is already set to hold the nearest snap by center. But to make sure, let's go over to the fitting box or the item box and let's check the steel tab. And when we do that, we have the command snap to. And mine is currently set at center where we want it because we're going to dimension from the center line of steel all the way to the side of the duct. So we're going to make sure that under snap to, make sure you've got center. Steel tab, snap to. And then we're going to click once to get control of our drawing space again. Remember, whenever we go from the item box to the drawing space, we have to click once to be able to get control again. It's a safety feature. Now what we're going to do is click once to start the line, and then just click, when you get the node lit up, click a second time to end the line. And right here you're going to have a dimension line, which you can move and shift up and down, right in between the 2 points we want. Remember, if your numbers are different values, that has everything to do with dimension styles, and there are some separate tutorials on dimension styles. The next thing we're going to do is dimension from the side of the beam to the side of the duct. To do that, we're going to grab a dimension. This time I'm going to do it from the ribbon. I'm going to click on the dimension tool. And then we're going to go over to the item box and choose X right. Going to switch snap to center right. And then we're going to click. And notice here, you should have, depending on the way you drew your beam, remember you might have drawn your beam left to right or right to left. And that's going to affect which node you're highlighting. But I'm holding the right portion. So once I see that node, I can just simply click once, and now I've got the dimension line starting, and then I'm going to click again, and now we can see we've got a dimension line between the center and outside wall of the steel to the wall of duct. That's going to conclude the exercise on dimensioning and using the snap to commands. There's also going to be an exercise on using snap to hold points for the point elevation tag.